on a sequence of events that culminated in an officer-involved shooting last night at approximately 8 p.m. in the 100 block of 7th Street West. I will provide information on police procedures and evidence relevant to the case that will give you and the public a better understanding of what took place based on what we know right now. We are at the early stages of this investigation, and it could take some time to complete. Our understanding of the incident may change as additional evidence is collected and reviewed, and we will update as needed. Last night, officers were sent to the area of 7th and Broadwater, where a caller reported a male armed with a handgun walking down the middle of the street, specifically south on 7th Street West. The caller watched the subject as he walked south in the middle of the street and specified and reiterated that the person was holding and displaying a handgun. The caller maintained sight of the subject until officers arrived. Those first on the scene did not see the subject and began to search the area. Officer Brett Hilde, Hilde, is a 5-year veteran and assigned to the Department's Street Crimes Unit, arrived a few minutes later and was in the area of 7th and St. John's, and he saw the subject in question standing in the street. Officer Hilde saw the subject point a handgun at the driver of an unrelated vehicle that was headed north on 7th Street West in the 100 block. He then saw the subject turn toward a group of people outside and in front of a residence and point the gun at them. Officer Hilde immediately pulled forward to intervene and stopped in the middle of the street and approximately 40 feet away from the subject. Officer Hilde opened his car door and simultaneously drew his department-issued handgun as he got out. Before he could issue any challenges or orders, the subject turned toward him and pointed the handgun directly at him. Officer Hilde, fearing that he was going to be shot and for the safeties of others in the area, fired a total of 8 rounds at the subject. He was hit and collapsed on the street. I do not know how many rounds struck the subject nor body location. We will learn that information from the autopsy. Other officers arrived on scene and secured the area before moving to secure the subject. They subsequently attempted life-saving measures, but the subject died on scene. On the ground and near the subject was a replica of a Glock 17 semi-automatic handgun. Replica in that it was actually a pellet gun. During the subsequent investigation, detectives positively identified the decedent as a 40-year-old Billings resident. He is well known to local law enforcement and has a lengthy criminal record. Identification of the decedent will be made by the coroner following the autopsy and notification of family. Officer Hilde did have a body camera, but because this unfolded so quickly, it was not activated until immediately after the shots were fired. This is also an older model body camera, and we do not believe the pre-incident record feature was available, but we are checking our system. Per policy, Officer Hilde is in critical incident protocol and is on administrative leave. The shooting is being investigated by our detective division and agents from Montana's Department of Criminal Investigation. They will ultimately assume lead on the case. The police department and DCI will conduct a very thorough investigation, both criminally and administratively, that typically requires investigators to interview multiple witnesses, review video footage, and analyze a significant amount of forensic evidence. When complete, DCI and the BPD will refer the case to the Yellowstone County Attorney's Office for review. They will ultimately schedule a coroner's inquest. This was a rapidly evolving incident that took place in just seconds, and it could have been disastrous. I'm very relieved that Officer Hilde and no other citizens were injured, and my thoughts are with those who are affected. And with that, I would bring your attention to the screen. You can see from This slide here at the top is Broadwater Avenue. And that's where the call originated from. And the red circle on the bottom is where the incident took place. So first occurrence of when the police were called was up to the top, and the individual walked down 7th Street West to where the incident took place. Further close up, this is where the box on the bottom is where Officer Hildy parked his patrol car, or his car. It wasn't a patrol car. And this is the general area of where the subject was when he stopped. And this is a Glock 17 replica pellet gun. Looks like the real thing. So that's what we have right now. With that, I will entertain any questions.
Did he fire this ever during that night, any place?
We have no information that he fired a pellet gun. We have lots of information that he pointed it at the driver of the car that was northbound, completely unrelated, a group of individuals who were out in front of a residence, and I'm not sure where they belonged to, but they were outside, and then ultimately Officer Hildy.
That yellow house is a familiar house to everybody in that neighborhood. Was this guy associated with that house, or have any association with those people in the house?
Yeah, I don't know that at this point. That's certainly something we'll be looking at.
You said this man who was shot was well known to police. Was he well known for having firearms on him in the past? Was he well known for carrying a pellet gun, something like that?
I didn't look at the entire criminal history, though, which I said is pretty significant. It spans a lot of years here in Billings. None, I believe, that rose to this level, and certainly none that involved pointing a firearm of any type at a law enforcement officer. But without going specifically into that, I can't speak directly to that point. But
did Officer Hildy recognize him from the street?
I don't think he did. It evolved so quickly, and frankly, it would be irrelevant whether he recognized him or not. He had a weapon pointed at him and needed to make a split-second decision.
Has there been another officer involved fatal shooting since Cole Stump?
No.
Is it up to each individual officer to switch on his body cam? Is that how all of the body cams that you guys have work?
Yes, and if you recall, Casey, we just implemented, full usage in our patrol division. That was our primary goal, to get them up and running, and then picking up the other specialized positions. So yeah, we do have policies of turning that on in our patrol division, that it's automatically turned on sometimes when you activate lights, but they are required to turn stuff on if they are expecting to go somewhere. And again, this thing unfolded so quickly. And again, something we'll look at in policy, whether, if you get dispatched on a call, no matter what it is, turn it on. The problem we run into there is, I had already warned the council that we are going to run into a storage problem, because it's just so much video that we have to download, and we are there. We are there less than a year out, so solutions there. But to your point there, we do have policies that require activation, and he did. And again, benefit of the doubt, this is seconds. From the time he pulled up, opened the door, seconds for him to get pointed at. So frankly, him worrying about whether he's going to get in trouble for turning the thing on, we'll work with that. But yeah, certainly something that we need to look at policy-wise, whether a lot of our systems have pre-record, So even though it's not turned on, it's actually recording. And we need to, we're checking on that to see if this did that. But again, it could be something as simple as saying, regardless, hit your button and we'll sort it out then. But, that didn't happen here, but we did get it activated. And we are checking the neighborhood for other videos as well.
Have you guys reviewed that footage yet?
I haven't seen it. I believe somebody has, probably the investigators initially.
Can I just ask you to verify Brett with 1 T or 2?
It is 2, and Hildy, Hilde.
Perfect. And you said he's on administrative leave, right?
Correct.
Will you remind me how long that is?
At a minimum, I stand them down for 2 weeks. That gives us time to conduct our preliminary administrative things, or things that we need to do. We generally don't interview officers until after 24 hours of a critical incident. There's reasons for that. And again, this is a life-threatening event for this officer. Whether people look at it that way or not, they are a victim of a violent crime. And whether they think they're ready to come back to work or not, they're not. So they need to process the information, work through things. Gives us time to handle our administrative stuff on that. So in general, it's 2 weeks before we bring them back. Some may go longer, but in general, no sooner than that. Any other questions? All right. Thank you all for coming, I appreciate that. Yeah, we'll update as, if anything else comes in. Coroner will have the name. I think the post is taking place this morning, or today sometime, so hopefully we'll have that information to have. But other than that, that's where we're at, work continues.
Hildy's 5 years with you guys? Was
Correct.
he someplace else before? 5 years as officer, all right.